Should you stay in PPO plans? Should you leave PPO plans? Should you stay with all of them or leave all of them? Well, we're going to take this up in this week's tip. Welcome back. My name's Dan Brown, and I am the Senior Service Consultant here at MGE Management Experts. And we're going to take up this age-old question. Should I be enrolled in all these different PPO plans? And boy, that's what I was told to do when I left school. I was told to just go sign up for a bunch of PPOs, and boy, my worries would be handled. My practice would be filled with tons of patients. All I needed to do is sign up with this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. How'd that work out? I understand. Well, this week's tip is going to be not just for you, Dr. Owner. This week's tip is also for your team, because I think it's important that your team understands what it means if you were to ever withdraw from a PPO and some of the noise that they might get from some of the patients, but why that might be a strategy you've considered and decided on going forward with. So team, listen up. This is some interesting data, and it's somewhat background, but I think it's important that you know. Your doctor went to school and spent a lot of money on an education, might still be paying for that education right now. Then your doctor went out and bought a practice, and doctor may have built that practice from scratch, may have taken it over from a previous owner. Regardless, I can tell you there's also a lot of money that was spent on that. So doctor here has gone to school, purchased a practice or built a practice, and incurred all these expenses and commitments, of course, payroll, lights, and all these other things. And now we have to make a business model out of this, right? Because nobody's paying doctors' bills if things don't go right for the practice. So a lot of times doctors go out and they sign up for PPOs, and PPOs are supposed to fill the practice with a bunch of patients. Great. Maybe it's done that in your case. Maybe it's achieved that. Fantastic if it did. But team members, I want you to think about this. I want you to think about what is the cash fee for, say, a crown in your practice. It might be $1,200, it might be $1,500, it might be $1,700, it might be $2,000, it might be $900. Hopefully it's not $900, but we're not talking about that right now. Let's say it's $1,500. That's what it would cost if I didn't have insurance and I came to your practice and I needed a crown. Good. What's going to happen with a PPO? A PPO is going to say, thank you very much for taking care of that patient. We are going to give you a certain amount practice, and that amount is not going to be $1,500. That amount is not going to be $1,400. That amount is not going to be $13, $12, might be $12. There's some great PPOs, but more likely that's going to be less than $1,000. Let's say it's $900. So to be in that PPO, what happens is what you would normally make in revenue, income, from that crown, $1,500, is now $900. So that means it costs $600 to acquire that patient. If you follow the math here, it's real simple math. We would normally make $1,500. In this case, we made $900. It costs us $600. Now, okay, we could call that a marketing expense. But what about this? What if the person needs 4 crowns? Well, we didn't just pay that $600 now, did we? We paid that $600 times 4. So that's $2,400. That is what, again, we call an acquisition cost. That's what it costs for us to acquire that patient. And that's not to mention that any future treatment they may need, right? If they need 2 more crowns in 4 years or whatever, right? Because that's continuing cost. But let's just leave it at the $2,400. That's your acquisition cost. I can tell you, we do a lot of marketing here, a lot of marketing tips. You could do a full-fledged Google, Facebook, paid ads campaign. And when you start running these things properly, yeah, your acquisition cost may be $500 for a new patient, $400. We've seen some of our clients get it down as low as $200 as opposed to $2,400. See what we just did there? And not only that, now and thereafter, they're paying your full practice fees. Again, we can help them offset those fees with their insurance, and we'll help them file the claim and walk them through that process. But that's why we like fee-for-service type patients. So what happens to the practice? The practice is taking this reduced profit margin It makes things very thin. How does that affect you, team members? Well, very difficult to give you raises, give you bonuses, buy new equipment, modernize the practice. I just want you to understand this from the doctor's standpoint. And I think we can all agree, when we do a great job and the practice is doing well, our doctor takes care of us, doesn't he or she? So they're there to give it to you if it's there to be given. And what can happen if a practice has a bunch of PPOs? Well, some of the actual reimbursements from these PPOs can be nightmarish. And here's what I mean. Your normal crown fee would be $1,500. Some of them pay $500. What did it cost to produce that crown? Well, you say, well, we sent it out to the lab and it cost that much. And, some materials and, some supplies. Yeah, that's what it cost. Plus the doctor's time, plus the assistant's time, plus the receptionist's time, plus the insurance coordinator's time. There's a lot that went into that. And what we have found at MGE is the typical actual cost. If you take a look at all the doctor's education, the practice cost, the operational cost, a crown cost about $500. So if you're making $500, well, that makes it very difficult to have any profit margin. So team members, I appreciate you sticking with me on this to understand it. Now I'm going to tell you what we at MGE tell you to do. What we at MGE tell you to do is whatever you want to do. We don't tell you we're anti-insurance. That's not our model. We're not here to tell you, go get rid of all your PPOs. That's not our position. You have to make your own adjudication on that one. And when I say you, I'm now talking to you, Dr. Owner. But I will say this. If you would like to be less dependent upon insurance-based patients, meaning patients that just call you up and say, hey, are you in network with, bing, ding, 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 whatever, PPOs, and you would more like to service those that say, I do have an insurance, but what's really important to me is the quality of the care, the compassion of the team, the understanding, and can you overcome my fear of needles, drills, past dental disasters, etc. That's more important to me than my insurance. So at MGE, we call that a fee-for-service profile, rather than an insurance profile. It doesn't mean that they don't have insurance. It just means that that person cares more about the treatment than they do, is their insurance going to cover it, or even the cost of the treatment. Now, I want you to listen to what I'm about to tell you. It doesn't mean that money isn't important to them. Money is important to these patients. But they care more about the quality of the care than they do what the treatment costs. It doesn't mean they want to pay a lot of money, but if they're going to save a few bucks by going to this other place over here that just gets them in and gets them out and doesn't ask questions, doesn't care about them, and it's just a business model. It's corporate dentistry, get them in, get them out, thank you very much, but they're not even looking at you when they say thank you. That patient comes to you because they want true family dentistry. They like family health care. So if you want more of those, well, good news is that's what we specialize in. Do not recommend that you go out and withdraw from all your PPOs tomorrow. Please don't do that. What you first have to do is understand how to attract more of these fee-for-service profile type patients. And luckily, we have a 2-day workshop that helps you with that exactly. It's called the MGE New Patient Workshop. I'm going to go ahead and put a link below. So if you want some information about that, you can find out about that. It is a 2-day, all-day workshop. And we cover all the basics of marketing and how to attract that patient type. In addition to that, it's relatively inexpensive and it has a money-back guarantee for up to 6 months after you do the workshop. Meaning, if after the workshop at any time in 6 months, you decide, that really wasn't worth it, you get all your money back. So you really have nothing to lose and everything to gain. You want to make certain that your practice is set up properly before you start pulling out of any sort of PPOs, because you're turning off the faucet there and you have to have another faucet going, if that makes sense. And listen, if you're not quite ready for the new patient workshop, we also have a tool for you to analyze how insurances are affecting you and your practice. So we're going to put that tool down below as well. Regardless, do something to learn more about how insurances are affecting you. And it could be, you could use that tool below and you find out, wow, I'm actually doing pretty good. In which case, don't change anything. If it isn't broke, don't fix it. But If upon using the tool below, you find out, I am 100% leading down a road that is going to make it very difficult for me to expand, pay my staff more, do bonuses, help people go on vacation, buy new equipment, well, then I would jump all over that new patient workshop. Now, this tip and many more are available to you on a free basis. All you got to do is click the subscribe button down there. And when you do so, enable all notifications. That's the tip this week. I hope that helps. My name's Dan Brown. We'll see you on the next one.